Hello everyone. For today's episode, we are in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, or to be exact, we are just between Litchfield Beach and where Pawleys Island begins. We're going to be checking out an old abandoned beach resort, and this is off of Highway 17 just before you get to Pawleys Island. And basically what we're going to do is not going to go on the other side of this fence because they do have no trespassing signs up, and we just want to be respectful of the area. But what I've done is I've done some research online from just various websites. I do believe most of the information I have is fairly accurate. But what we're going to do is I'm going to read over the paragraphs and just kind of give you a shot of what the old resort looks like now. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Alright, so this is the abandoned beach resort itself. In just a minute I'll zoom in, but we're going to go over the information first. And before we get started, if you're not familiar with Pawleys Island or Litchfield, this spot right here is probably about 15 to 20 miles from Myrtle Beach, south of Myrtle Beach to be exact. And we go to Pawleys Island usually at least every other visit when we come to Myrtle Beach, and we rode past here countless times and just did not realize that this was even here until recently. Like I said before, it's right on 17. This is 17 right here. So if you've been through here in between Myrtle Beach and Georgetown, or maybe not even that far, you've rode past it. Probably didn't even know it. So as you know, here in South Carolina and the South in general, at one point in our history there was a horrible time through slavery and times of segregation, and this abandoned beach resort, once called the Magnolia Beach Club, was the first African American resort built along the Grand Strand. And as a matter of fact, it was one of the only places African Americans could stay overnight on the East Coast between New York City and Miami. It was also one of the few spots on the East Coast where African Americans had direct beach access. The beach, which is behind here, was known as McKenzie Beach, which was named after the person that formed this whole area. This area, which was 23 acres, I believe, 23, 24 acres, was a vacation retreat for vacationers regardless of their color. And there was many famous musicians who would be out on the road, and this was a place that they would use. They could come and stay and actually do shows and perform, and not have to worry about being discriminated against. This really just provided a safe place for African Americans to go with their families and friends, where they could sit by the ocean, have a good meal, and just have a relaxing time without having to worry about being discriminated against in any way. So the resort continued to grow until 1954, when a Category 4 hurricane known as Hurricane Hazel directly hit this area, destroying the causeway, the pavilion, and most of the cabins. Mr. McKenzie rebuilt a small hotel, which is what you're seeing here. This is remnants of that. And eventually, due to financial hardship, McKenzie was forced to sell the property in the late 60s. And the new owners did allow McKenzie to operate the motel for a few more years until he retired from the motel business. And McKenzie himself and his business partner, Lillian Pyatt, both passed away in the same year. I believe that was in 1978. Me personally, I'm kind of surprised it's still in ruins the way it is now. They do have a fence around it. It goes all the way down. I think it goes around the entire perimeter of the property. But I'm kind of surprised that they haven't restored it in some way, or just done something with it. But there is this building And then there's another building that's on back behind here. I'm not exactly sure what that building is. It's probably some more info online that'll talk more about it, but this is remnants of the hotel that was rebuilt. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit to see if we can see it a little better. So one more thing I wanted to mention. Earlier when I stated there were some famous musicians here. Those musicians were Duke Ellington, Charlie Parker, Ella Fitzgerald, Little Richard, Ray Charles, and many, many more stayed right here in this location. So I think that's going to wrap this one up. I've decided to include a few links in the description. It's going to give you a lot more info than what I mentioned here today. I wanted to keep this video to a minimum of about 10 minutes or less. So if you check out those links, it will tell you a lot more than what information I provided here today. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please feel free to share with others, and also subscribe if you haven't already. I greatly appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching. See you in the next video. So I made it down to the northern end of Pawleys Island. Look on my map, we're at the northern tip of it. And right there in the center of the screen is the other building that I mentioned earlier. It's on down closer, or a little ways closer to the beach. You cannot see this from where we were standing earlier. So the beach that the guests would have spent time at when they were staying at the resort at the time would have been somewhere out in there. I think this island here, the position of where you see the sands is probably totally different then. The beach was somewhere right in the middle there, middle of the screen.